So in this session, we will be majorly discussing the methods to calculate these major and minor losses. As you have seen that major loss, it's for laminar flow already we have the Heisenberg-Gillies equation, and from there and we can actually compare it with the general formula for the head loss, which is Fd into L by D into V bar square by 2, where Fd is the Darcy's friction factor, and from there we have got that Fd is equal to 64 by Re for laminar flow. And if it is Fannings's friction factor, it will be 16 by Re for the laminar flow. Now the point is, what will be the value in turbulent flow, right? So in turbulent flow, it has been experimentally determined, and the most in the baseline, the most popular representation is in the form of a log-log plot of Fd versus or Fn versus R. So this chart is called Moody's chart. MOOD1. So right. So this Moody's chart, you see that how it looks like. So it's given in the handout. So you see that here this is a log-log plot. So here maybe this or this we have chosen as say 10 square, this is 10 cube, this is 10 to the power 4, 10 to the power 5, 10 to the power 6. So this is Re axis, and that will be the Fd, and Fd here, the standard scale for Fd is this. It starts from generally these 10 to the power 3, so far away maybe, say it is 0.001, some 0.01, 0.1, etc. So up to this 2, so this is 2.1 into 10 to the power 3. That is the first critical threshold value for the Reynolds number, and your line will be like this. Why? Because here Fd is equal to 64 by Re. So this is a straight line in log-log with a slope of -1. Right? So after that, what happens? There will be a transition, which is a narrow region in the Moody's chart, and that is 4 into 10 to the power 3. So what we observe that from here the graph goes like this. This is definitely not a quantitative description what I am drawing. It's not in scale. Definitely Moody's chart is quantitative, but what I am drawing is not in scale. So tentatively it looks like this. Okay, and in this direction this E by D value increases, right, and this is the smooth pipe where this E by D is close to 0. close to 0. Right? Now here we have to note the existence of a specific region. A region like this, and on the right hand side of this region we see that FD is independent of RE. So this region we call fully rough or fully turbulent zone, right? When FD is no longer dependent on R. So you have to understand that why this happens. Okay. Now you see that in laminar flow, the change of flow profiles. What is that? Actually, as we move from this laminar to this turbulent flow, the flow profile becomes more flat. Like here in laminar flow, it is like this, it's parabolic, right? So this is RE less than 210. So in turbulent flow with low Reynolds number, the profile is like this. So flat central region, say turbulent flow is greater than 4000. And here if we go for a very high value of Reynolds number tending to infinity, it becomes inviscid turbulent or inviscid flow. And turbulent flow approaches this inviscid flow when this velocity tends to nearly infinity. Now you see that if we focus here, this type of turbulent flow, still though it is flat and pretty high, at here this Vz is equal to 0. Right? Here Vz is equal to 0. So if I focus close to wall, this region, right? So what is the diagram? Like say there are roughness element like this, right? And there will be a distance here, let's say this is the distance from the wall. So at some y is equal to delta 1, inside this layer we have laminar. Why? Because here the velocity is 0 and velocity is slowly and progressively increasing as we are moving up from the wall. So here it is 0, here it's 0. So slowly the velocity increases, right? And it will reach, or it will be maintaining the laminar flow within this wall. So if I define local Reynolds number, which is different from pipe Reynolds number, as y into Vz y into rho divided by mu, right? So y into Vz y into rho divided by mu. So at y is equal to delta 1, Re local, it's equal to Re threshold 1. In the handout it has been wrongly mentioned as 2100. Definitely here the threshold values will not be 2100. 2100 is the value for this entire pipe where I have defined the Reynolds number as d V bar rho by mu. But here the definition is different. So the threshold value can no longer be 2100. So at this point where Re equal to delta 1, this local Reynolds number defined as this is equal to this fast threshold or fast critical value, right? And this layer is called laminar sublayer. Now above and over this layer another layer must exist where the transition flow condition prevails. So at here, RE local is equal to RE threshold 2, and this is called buffer layer, where we are having transition flow, right? And in the above and over the buffer layer, say this is the center line, right? This is definitely not in scale. This region, and on the other side is turbulent core. So in the diagram of the entire pipe flow, just like we can see that this much may be the laminar sublayer, here also we have a laminar sublayer. This is a buffer layer, here also this is the same buffer layer, and this region is called turbulent core, where actual turbulent flow condition prevails, right? Now we were trying to explain that why we have a fully rough or this fully turbulent zone. What happens? You see that if RE, which is d V bar rho by mu, is just have crossed this 4000 plus. So, right, 4000 plus. Then the situation is that all these roughness element, they will be inside this laminar sublayer. Right? So here the liquid moves like this to a series of this assembly in a layer wise pattern because it is laminar flow, right? And it depends on this height. It depends on E, and at the same time the local velocity, which will be determined by Reynolds number. Right? Because local velocity Vz will be definitely influenced by Reynolds number, because Reynolds number is d V bar rho by mu. As the average velocity increases, local velocity also increases, right? As we have seen here to here. The local velocity will increase as the average velocity or overall pipe Reynolds number increases, right? So that is the situation here, where all this roughness element is submerged and the flow is laminar or submerged in the laminar sublayer, and in this layer the flow is entirely laminar, and ADs has got no access to the roughness element. Then Reynolds number and E by D both will determine the friction factor. So in this regime, FD will be a function of Reynolds number and E by D, right? Now this is case 1. Now in case 2, Reynolds number is much above and over this 4000. Now what will happen? These are the roughness elements. So laminar sublayer now shrinks, because as the local velocity, as the average velocity increases, local velocity will also increase, and less value of delta is necessary to reach for this Reynolds number local to reach its fast critical threshold. So overall laminar sublayer will shrink, and as it shrinks, after certain point this roughness element will protrude into this buffer region. This may be buffer region and may be protruding for a very high turbulence into the turbulent core. So this is turbulent core, this is buffer, and this is laminar or viscous sublayer. So here the ADs has got access to this roughness element, and ADs, you know, velocity of the AD may vary from 0 to infinity, right? It has got actually all possibilities of having very high to very low velocity, even in a low Reynolds number turbulent, right? Definitely the fraction of AD, it's a kind of distribution, we are not going into the detail, but there will be ADs with a very high velocity, where the local velocity or the average velocity, definitely it is in the turbulence, but it is low. So what will happen? These ADs will now hit this roughness will undergo impact with this roughness element, exchanging this mass, momentum and energy. So whenever this energy loss, you see, whenever the eddies has got access to this roughness element and eddy's velocity is independent of this mean flow velocity, what will happen? This will contribute majorly to the frictional head loss because they are having impact with this roughness element, and as a consequence, as the velocity of the eddy is independent of this local velocity, so here in this region Fd, it is reflected as it's a function of E by d only and independent of Re. So this is the tentative rationale behind the existence of fully rough or fully turbulent zone in Moody's diagram, right? So you see that in addition to Moody's chart, we have certain other correlation like Blasius correlation, which states that Fd is equal to this 0.3164 divided by Re to the power 1 by 5 or 1 by 5, let me check. These are empirical correlations, you don't have to remember this next one. Yeah, it's 1 by 4. This better you remember, this Blasius correlation. The second one, there is something called this Colebrook, which is more accurate. This Blasius is valid for smooth pipe, right? For Colebrook correlation, this Colebrook correlation, what it states that 1 by under root of f is equal to minus of 2 log this, then there are some coefficient, this E by d divided by 3.7 plus 2.51 divided by Re into under root of f. So you see that on both sides of this equation f is present, so it will be a kind of iterative equation, as you can understand from here, that f from the Blasius we will find that this we will use here and we will generate a new f and we will go on successive substitution unless two successive values of f are pretty close to each other. So this is the Colebrook correlation. So just you note this Blasius correlation, right? You will have certain idea about it. So that's the way by which we can actually calculate the major loss in pipe flow using the Moody's chart and using the formula that Fd into this L by d into V bar square by 2. So next we will be discussing about the minor losses. See, the minor loss is a very simple equation and mostly it is totally empirical, right? So we will calculate the minor loss by two different approaches. One is the approach of minor loss coefficient and another is the concept of equivalent, right? So minor loss So you can write that M minor is equal to K into V bar square by 2, right? So K is the loss coefficient. Or alternatively, you think that the K values are listed, you don't have to remember. If any problem is given, the K value will be supplied. So if you think, what is the alternative approach? Let's say I have a valve, right? And I want to calculate the pressure drop or the loss across the valve. So we'll consider that, okay, actually we will imagine a pipe segment replacing that valve, and this pipe segment has got a length LE. So here the major loss, and in the valve what is the minor head loss, these two, if they are same, then LE is called the equivalent length of the valve, right? So it's here you are drawing an equivalence considering a hypothetical pipe segment giving you the same major head loss as that of the minor head loss of this valve, right? So here we will use the same equation as that of major head loss, but L will be replaced by this LE. So LE is called equivalent length, right? LE be the equivalent length. So you see this value of LE, I have also listed a few in my handout. So this value of this LE just like for gate valve it is 8, for globe valve it is 340, for ball valve it is 3, for check valve like globe lift check valve it is 600, then for 90 degree elbow it is 30, 45 degree elbow it is 16, for return bend it is 50, for T junction it has got the value 20 and 60 and all. So this is given in table 1 of page number 74 of my handout, right? So that's about the minor loss calculation, but additionally one thing I would like to mention, and it's very important. If there is an expansion, I'm not proving this, there is a sudden expansion, right? Just you remember this equation. Here the average velocity is V1 bar, the area is A1, here this expanded area is A2, and here the velocity is V2 bar, right? So here H minor we can write as 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square into V1 bar square by 2, right? 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square into V1 bar square by 2, which is the velocity head in the smaller cross section, right? So K here is 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square. On the other hand, if I have sudden contraction, this area is A1 and here the velocity is V1 bar, this area is A2, here the velocity is V2 bar. So in this case the minor head loss is 0.4 into 1 minus, always it is the smaller cross section minus divided by the larger cross section into velocity head will always be in the smaller cross section. So K here is equal to 0.4 1 minus A2 divided by A1. Got it? So that's about the basic formulation to calculate the major and minor losses. So with this understanding, we'll try to solve one or two problems of the Bernoulli's equation, the general one, not the gate problem, and later we will try this gate problem. But additionally there is another problem. What is that? This is non-circular duct. See, the non-circular duct if I am trying to use this form that H major it's equal to Fd into L by D into V bar square by 2. Now question is what will be this D for non-circular duct, right? See, the area for a circular duct is pi by 4 D square and its perimeter is pi by D. So we can express D for a circular duct as 4 into A divided by P, which alternatively 4 into weighted area by weighted perimeter, right? So we will simply extend this equation and we will write that for non-circular duct DE will be 4 into weighted area by weighted perimeter. Just like think a duct of cross section, it's a rectangle, this is breadth, this is height, right? So area is B into H, perimeter is twice of B plus H. So equivalent diameter is 4 into BH divided by 2 of B plus H, giving you 2BH divided by B plus H. Now think of an annular section that's also non-circular. This is radius R1, this is radius R2. So A is equal to pi into R2 square minus R1 square, and perimeter is equal to 2 pi R1 plus R2. So this equivalent diameter is 4 into weighted area by perimeter. So 4 into pi into R2 square minus R1 square divided by 2 pi of R1 plus R2. So it will be twice of this R2 minus R1. Right? So in this way we can calculate this equivalent diameter, but remember, if I am calculating the average velocity which is to be used here, don't write that it is q divided by pi by 4t square, but write q divided by bh. Or here the average velocity q divided by pi into r2 square minus r1 square. We may confuse that, okay, I have solved for this equivalent diameter, so I can calculate the average velocity as q divided by pi by 4t square. No, it is wrong. You have to measure this, or you have to determine the actual area of the flow, and you divide the volume flow rate divided by this area and get that average velocity to be used in this head loss formula. Okay? So with this understanding, now let's actually solve Bernoulli's equation based problem with pumps and all. So it's given in this handout exercise, but just I am solving it. See what is the problem. Yes. It is in page number 94. Right? It is in page number 94. Yeah. Let me first draw the diagram. Okay, so this is the pump, this is a gate valve, pipe ID is 100 millimeter and it is aluminium pipe. Total length of this pipe is 213 meter. And 15 pipe, there are 15 joints, and K joint is equal to 1. This elevation is 122 meter, and the liquid is ejecting out from this nozzle, because there is a nozzle at a velocity of 37 meter per second. Right? So what is the statement? Cooling water is pumped from a reservoir to a rock drill on a construction job using the pipe system shown. the flow rate must be 38. So here the flow rate is 38 liter per second. And the water leaves the spray nozzle at 37 meter per second. Calculate the minimum pressure needed at the pump outlet. Here P1G is to be estimated, and estimate the required power input if the pump motor set efficiency. This pump motor set efficiency is 0.7, so we have to calculate what will be the electrical power required. Right? So what will be the electrical power required? That is to be also calculated. So you see that we'll first consider this point 1 and 2, because at this point we have to calculate the pressure. So we can write this P1G divided by rho plus alpha 1 V1 square divided by 2 GZ1 plus eta WP is equal to P2 by rho plus alpha 2 V2 bar square by 2 GZ2 plus H total. Right? So this is also got. So here the P2G is obviously 0 because it is releasing atmosphere. Z1 is 0, WP no pump between 1 and 2, right? And you see this V1 bar, first we have to solve it. Like this is 38 liters, so 38 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter cube divided by pi by 4, and the diameter is 100 millimeter, so it is 10 centimeter and this how much? 0.1 meter, right? So 0.1 square. So 0.1 square meter cube per second. So here from we will get some value in meter per second. So let's immediately we have to check the Reynolds number as d V bar rho by mu, right? And you will see that it is much greater than 4000. So we can confirm that this is a turbulent flow, right? It's not a laminar flow or transition flow, it's a turbulent flow, right? So exactly I don't remember the value, but it will be pretty high. So this alpha 1 and alpha 2 will be close to 1, as we have discussed, right? So P1G by rho plus V1 square. So V1 you can calculate. So here let us calculate this at least. So 38 into 10 to the power minus 3 divided by pi by 4 into 10 to the power minus 1 whole square. Right? So what will be the value? So 38 into 4 divided by 3.14, and here 10 to the power minus, so it will be 4.84 meter per second. So here it will be 4.84 square divided by 2 is equal to this alpha 2 V2 is 37 square by 2 plus 122 into 9.8 plus head loss. Right? So head loss is to be solved. So head loss is H major plus H minor. So if we can calculate this major and minor head losses, my problem is over. I can solve for P1G. So H major, you see, it is FD. So this is to be solved or to be determined from Moody's chart. Right? This is to be determined from Moody's chart. Now question is, what will be the E by D value? Now aluminium, it is mentioned, and there are in specifically in the book of Fox and McDonald, you will see that E by D value for different types of pipe of different material and diameter, this is given, right? So from there we can actually an E by D from standard chart of pipe material. right? So I'm not going into that. So if that data you are not getting into, then in case of absence of data, E by D you consider to be equal to 0 or a very low value, whatever, right? So this is standard. So then L, the total length is 213 divided by the diameter L by D 0.1 multiplied by V bar square. V is everywhere in the pipe except at the nozzle. It's 4.84 square divided by 2, right? So each measure has been calculated. FD is to be determined from the Moody's chart. Next, H minor. So what are the minor losses? First, there is a gate valve. Now you see for gate valve, this LE by D is 8 as given in the handout. So FD into LE by D 8 into 4.84 square divided by 2. Though it is a kind of elbow, but as no specification is given, we will not consider it. And there are 15 joints with K joint equal to 1. So 15 into 1, here we have to use this minor loss formula as K into V bar square by 2 into 4.84 square divided by 2, right? Now no specification is given regarding the nozzle. So we consider this nozzle as sudden contraction, right? As sudden contraction. So here the diameter is 0.1. The velocity is 4.84 meter per second. The diameter is this. Here the velocity is 37 meter per second, but the diameter here it's unknown. So what will be the diameter? We can write that pi by 4 d2 square into 37, simple pipe continuity, V1A1 equal to V2A2. And that's equal to pi by 4 into 0.1 square into 4.84. So pi by 4 cancels out, and we get this d2 to be equal to 0.1 under root of 4.84 divided by 37. So d2 has been obtained, right? So we can calculate the head loss as what? Contraction 0.4 within bracket 1 minus smaller area by larger area. So smaller area, this d2 square pi by 4 will cancel out, divided by larger area 0.1 square. So d2 square by 0.1 square into the velocity head in the smaller cross section, so which is 37 square by 2, right? Plus you see, there will be another loss. As the liquid or the water moves out, it's expanding into infinite space from a very small area of the pipe, right? From the mouth, it's expanding into infinite space. So it is again a sudden expansion where we know the loss coefficient is 1 minus smaller by larger area square, and here the larger area is infinite compared to the smaller area. So the coefficient 1 minus this larger by smaller area square reduces to 1 multiplied by the velocity head in the smaller area, which is 37. So this is 1 into again 37 square by 2, right? So these, after calculation or after evaluation of FD, entirely after adding these two, will be substituting it here, like what I am trying to say, that this entire expression plus this expression, this expression, these are to be added and substituted here, right? So you can solve for P1G, right? So here we can get this P1G. So next is the question that what is the electrical power required? See, here no specification about the pipe or the elevation, nothing is given. So we'll consider that at this pump inlet, that say this is P1G and this is P1 prime G, this will be equal to 0 and it's operating at atmospheric pressure, right? So if it operates at atmospheric pressure, nothing is given. So if I apply Bernoulli's equation between these 2 points, so between Bernoulli's equation between 1 prime and 1, what I will get? This eta into Wp is equal to P1G minus P1 prime G divided by rho, which is P1G divided by rho, because this is basically 0. So this is 0.7 WP P1G divided by rho. So we will calculate WP, and WP multiplied by rho into Q will be giving you W dot P, where Q is equal to 34 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter cube per second. Rho is 10 to the power 3 kg per meter cube. So you solve, so you will get the answer in watt. So that's the general Bernoulli's equation solution, and in the next section we will also discuss some of the GET problems where we can solve by using this Bernoulli's equation.